Mumbo Sauce Radio.
Let's go!
Soundtrack of the DMV.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the show, man. You know, Mumbo Sauce Podcast. It's Tony and
Peace, Juice.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's go.
You know, we in here just cooling it, man. You know what I'm saying? Talking about this prison reform stuff, talking about this jail shit, and we just started talking about this Brittney Griner shit, man.
Brittney Griner.
Griner, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
This shit wild, man.
It is, brother. It is. So what's your feelings on it? What's your take on it, brother?
Well, first of all, we should get everybody up to speed as to what her situation is. You can go ahead and expound on it.
Okay,
you know
so I believe in February she was stopped. Okay, so she plays basketball for the WNBA, and in the off season she plays overseas. She was in Russia, so due to the Ukraine-Russia conflict, she was headed back.
Hold on, I'm listening. Hey, Kels, can you?
February.
They don't like the way the phone look, man. Can you see if you can rig it up to? I don't know, man.
It is what it is. So in February, she was on her way back due to the conflict in Ukraine and Russia.
Right.
So she attempts to board a plane from Russia back to the United States, and I'm not familiar with exactly how much weight she gets caught with. I believe it was oil, but she gets caught trying to transport either marijuana or some type of cannabis oil from Russia back to the United States.
Cannabis oil, not even just like weed. Like
I'm not sure. Was it just one or the other? You know, I'm not informed to that matter, but you know, my personal opinion, I don't feel like she's being detained for no reason.
Right.
You know, it's a sticky subject, you know, where I believe in equality for all, and I don't think reform should be diluted based on somebody's celebrity.
Right.
You know, from February to July, or was it August this month, she's been sentenced. So let's look at how that looks like in America.
Right.
His brothers that's in the penal system right now, as you know, been locked up 3, 4, 5 years and haven't seen their court date. So due process was given to her, you know.
Right.
Now, if you want to say you believe that marijuana should be legal, okay, but if you try to transport marijuana or any illicit drug from one state to another, that's federal, you know, and you got brothers doing 25 years in the federal penitentiary for transporting marijuana from one state to another.
But this much marijuana though?
This much? Do you think it's this much? I mean,
you said it was oil. Like,
I mean, it's oil, but how much do you think? She's a pretty popular person, probably have access, and it doesn't matter about the weight. That's just like if you get pulled over, you know, the weight does matter.
Yeah.
I think the phone fell, brother. The weight does matter.
Nice.
But you trying to cross international waters, brother.
Oh, wait a minute. Jump definitely fell, but we just gonna let it rock out right there.
Okay.
No, we good over there, but over here, yeah. See, that's good. You can look at it right here, bro, and we could just put it down just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You can gauge it right there. I feel like, man, like, first of all, like, what the fuck was she doing bringing that in another country anyway? Like, who does that? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you go anywhere, like, at the airport and just bring some tree or some oil or whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying, some cocaine or whatever, like, overseas? Like, what was Shawty thinking right there? It's almost like, do you think that she did that on purpose? Like, is this some political stuff? Like, is this a stunt?
I mean, I don't want to speculate, but you know, when you usually have privilege in being an entertainer or professional athlete, the first time you try to do something, you usually don't get caught for it. So I'm not going to say, you know, sit here and speculate, but I do think she should have been more aware of what she was carrying, trying to travel across international waters.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But by no means do I think should she be put in prison for 9 years. maybe not. But even when you get that number of 9 years, that's kind of misleading, because is she gonna have to do that whole 9 years?
Right.
Is it suspended sentence? You know,
I don't think she's gonna be there for a year.
oh no. You know, it's all. I don't think so either.
Yeah.
They probably gonna do a prison swap. You know.
Has we ever done that in the history of this country? Like,
Oh yeah, they do that all the time. You
but
know,
for her though, who the fuck is she? You
I
know
mean,
what I'm
she's
saying?
a professional WNBA player, and I'm not trying to, you know, like, you know, she
I don't
has
know.
a following.
If I got locked up for not, god damn.
He might have to hold that joint player.
Nah, he ain't. If I got locked up for 9 years, I don't think Brittney Griner would lose any sleep over me.
I mean, if the situation, this is why I have a problem with it. If it was Tyrone from Southeast, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, attempting the whole narrative would shift and change. That's why, you know, I think fairness is fairness. You
Right.
know, you shouldn't use this person because they're a professional athlete and say that they're being wrongly detained. I mean, it is, you know, something
Right.
happened. You know, that's not within question. You know, whether she tried to board the plane or not. And then later on, she said that she had
Right.
medical, what's that called? A
medical marijuana, I don't think that even matters, bro.
I mean, maybe in the United States, but not in Russia. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
but it's crazy, you know, because now you have people on this movement, Free Brittney Griner, which I can respect that, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that she deserves to be locked over, but you look at her on TV, she look
Right.
like she eating good, healthy, you know
Right.
what I'm saying? Got her own clothes. You go to some of these prisons and jails in America, they ain't living good like that. They not seeing the court.
You got a caller, I'm not sure.
Okay, let's check it. Let's check it.
Question is, why was she in the first place? She was only in the first place to make more money.
Yo.
Capri.
Yeah.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
I hit one.
Okay, I sent a call voicemail.
Capri callback. I'm not sure what the hell just happened just now.
Please call back, brother.
You know what I'm saying?
Love to have other opinions and takes on this issue. So what you say, Kale? Why she was over there in the first place?
The reason she was over there in the first place, she don't get paid enough. She wasn't getting paid enough money over the States to go home. So
Okay.
she's over there. She's over there to make extra money. She ain't getting enough money over here.
Now you talking some cream. Now my brother talking some cream. Now we're talking about equality and equal pay for women.
Come over here, Kels, man. You-
Women athletes.
Come over here, brother.
Yeah, you right. If it was LeBron James, you know, LeBron James wouldn't be paying in Russia in the off season because he's making millions of dollars. He got enough money. Yeah, you right. So maybe that's the issue that needs to be addressed too. I like that.
Capri.
Yo.
Good evening.
What up, sis? How you doing?
I'm blessed. How are y'all?
Great.
We trying to get it together, baby.
Yeah, I hate that echo after I speak to y'all.
You said it's an echo?
What's up? Yeah, well, it's not your fault. It's Google has a delay.
Oh, you might. I got you coming into the microphone, so you might. Let me turn you down a little bit. So what's going on with you? What's your take on this whole situation?
I'll turn. Well, let's talk about Brittney.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, I feel like as a black community, we have an issue with freeing free people who committed crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
While I do feel like the pay is unfair for male versus female when it comes to sports, but that's when it comes to everything in life right now.
Right.
I just also feel like an American medical marijuana card does not transcend to what they try to consider as international trafficking. It doesn't even go across the state lines of whatever state you get it from or reside in.
Right.
Word.
And I feel like she's gotten away with it at the time to know that they were comfortable.
See, and you know, that's what I felt. And you being a black woman, I appreciate that stance.
Right.
And you articulated it so well. You know, I think these free movements should be driven for people who really needs that exposure. You know, and I basically said I didn't want to speculate, but to me it doesn't seem like this was the first time she did it. You know, but continue. I like to continue to hear your take on it.
And then I did see another reference where there was a Caucasian young lady who went across and had more THC, and she got a lesser sentence, and she also got a lesser fine. But I feel like the bigger difference in that is this young lady is definitely an athlete in their country.
Right.
So they took it as a different level of disrespect. And she also has a level of celebrity, not only there but here. So
Right.
they're definitely going to make an example of her. Like, you have to realize with your brand that you have to take steps and precautions to protect yourself at all costs. Because once you are considered a big deal, they're definitely going to try to gun you to make
Right.
it expensive.
Right.
That's what's happening in the hip hop community, you know what I'm saying? As we know it, like these rappers get pulled over all the time, but they do it to themselves. You know, they ride around, you know, with the sticks and the, you know what I'm saying, the Glocks and like $10,000,
Right.
$20,000
Right.
and Xanax and lean and shit like that, and then they be talking about free my nigga Tay Tay.
Right. But it
But
is
they're also not looking at the regression that takes place in the legal system, because
Exactly.
a lot of back in the day were fictitious. But the things that they're rapping about now, you can actually go to social media, pull receipts for, and now I can start building a case against y'all.
Exactly.
Why is it weaker? Why do you have to expose everything that you do on social media for clout? Clout will get you 10 to 20 easy.
as is happening. As it's happening. But back to this Brittney Griner situation. Do you know the actual sentence? Like, all I keep hearing is 9 years. Is it a suspended
Yeah,
sentence?
they gave her 9 years. She was facing 30.
Okay, but you know, like, say for instance, I got convicted of a cocaine charge. I got sentenced to 10 years, but 6.5 get suspended, where I do 3.5. You see what I'm saying? So it's like
You
that.
can't compare American court system
I understand
to
that.
foreign jurisdictions. That's your first mistake.
I understand that. I'm saying
She has to serve her full 9.
she has to serve her full 9. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so right now they're in the process of trying to do a prisoner swap.
Right. So how do you?
And while I feel like the politics behind that are going to cause us problems later, I do also know that she uses THC for medical use, chronic pain, anxiety, and those things.
And that matters.
People saying she looks good, she don't look like she's missing any meals. She also has muscle mass on her body, so she's going to sustain a certain amount of that until she gets to a point where her body is not retaining it anymore.
She need to use some motherfucking ashwagandha or something. You know.
Nah. I mean, respect.
Well, I would love to say yes, but I'm going to say no. Addiction runs in my family. I have chronic pain too. I would rather not start prescribing any type of pharmaceuticals that come from over-the-counter, because you're going to open me up to any other types of addiction that runs in my heredity.
Right. And I respect what you said with the whole, you know, she needs it because she's a professional athlete, and playing professional games is grueling on the body, you know. So I'm not questioning her use or her medical use for marijuana. I was more so like, let's be real, she's trying to travel over international waters, and they're saying she's being unlawfully detained, and it's no
No, she's not.
right. Yeah, you said no, she's not. Quick. Okay.
Being lawfully detained,
Because
but
it's an international
No
crime.
crime,
That's considered
yeah.
international drug trafficking.
Right.
You can go, see, this is the thing. In the 80s, you can claim ignorance to law.
I mean,
in almost 2023, you can Google any daggone thing you need.
right. You know, being a part of being in the legal system quite a few times, I used to always hear my lawyers tell me ignorance is 1/4 of the law. So just because you don't know something is not legal, you still gonna be held accountable if you break those laws.
Before I travel anywhere, I Google the laws and bylaws.
Right.
And I also Google where their high traffic rates are so we don't stay there.
Right.
I also look to see if they have sex trafficking near waters and all of those things, and we don't stay there either.
Right.
It's called precautions and taking care of yourself.
Right. Right. Dig. So how do you feel about the prisoner swap?
I feel like it's a form of, I don't know how to respectfully say this.
Say how you feel.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like it's a form of human trafficking because I feel like you're swapping one person or two people for another person for political gain or financial gain, and I feel like it's wrong.
Yeah. So, and you were
I feel like if you're going to
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm listening. My fault.
What I was going to say is I feel like if it has gotten that far politicized, I don't think we should use words like prisoner swap. I feel like you should find a better way to make whatever type of bargain or trade that you're trying to make. But at this point, it feels like you're using a woman as leverage to get a man free. And that's another problem for me.
Interesting. Yeah, because from my understanding, it's an arms dealer or something like that they were trying to swap.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So why are they trying to swap an arms dealer? Like, what is this?
Well, they're actually trying to swap two. They're trying to swap 2 Americans for that arms dealer.
Wow.
So
they want the arms dealer back in Russia, and they want the 2 Americans back here. But
sound like that dude is a heavy dude.
So high on their prison or on their most wanted list. They weren't trying to do it at first, but it is almost election time, guys.
Yeah,
you know what's going on.
And you know who's pushing this narrative, and
Well, it's one political party that is pushing a narrative that actually supports her choice in sexuality or her lifestyle or the way she was born. So that's tied to it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that has nothing to do with, I don't think she's being discriminated. She's being discriminated against based off of her sexual preference or even her being her gender. Now, it's other things like
I can't agree with that.
You think she's being discriminated
against?
They are
very, very, very third world in those countries when it comes to homosexuality.
So you think that she got a tougher sentence because she was a homosexual?
I feel like over in Russia, I feel like that is also a narrative that is possibly being pushed to continue to make an example of her.
Okay. I accept that.
I think that they're gonna, try to make an example out of Americans, period.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's famous American, the fact that she's a gay American, the fact that she's a black American, she just got.
And she's larger than life.
And the fact that she's a
massive.
Yeah, she's bigger than all 3 of us put together.
She thought she was just gonna slide through the back and not be noticed. I mean, but
yeah, they trying to definitely make an example, you know what I'm saying, out of her.
Right. My heart aches for her family because they haven't been able to talk to her at any form of communication, her wife, her mother. Like, my heart aches for that part.
Right.
But it's the other part of, what did you do to put yourself in this position? We got to talk about the accountability that goes along with it.
And I agree.
Even if we feel like their prison terms are unfair, those are their laws.
So, I just came home from, being incarcerated. The facility that I was just at had, and I'm not trying to compare, but it's like, equality is equality and fairness is fairness. You have a lot of penitentiaries in Virginia right now that doesn't have running AC units in their facilities. And so many different, inhumane conditions. So I'm not trying to be insensitive to her condition. I was just saying it's not right to say that she's being treated unfairly when you got Americans here that's being treated unfairly. Like, for instance, quarantining in America, women who are quarantined here in America, they put covers over their doors because they're mixing them inside of units where it's men, but yeah. So I'm like, okay, now this is discrimination based off of gender, here in America. So let's not throw rocks if we live in a glass house. And I think a lot of these political parties, that are pushing this narrative like, oh, Russia is in the wrong. Yeah, we know their laws is stiff over there, but let's try to, address some things here as well. If you're gonna point the finger at them, so.
No, they're not gonna do that. The United States is known for putting their nose in everybody else's business and being bullies in other places. Yeah. That deflects the issues that you have at home.
Right.
It's just the way the American way has been forever. How can we find $33 billion to send to Ukraine for war, but we cannot sustain our elderly or our homeless or even our fucking education system in this country?
Right.
Or give her $100,000 a year.
Yeah. Or give her, equal play for being a WNBA player. And like the brother Kale said, the problem is if she was making enough money over here, she wouldn't have had to be playing in the off season in Russia.
You don't think she was making enough money here?
They're not making.
She wasn't over there to supplement her income, but there's another problem to that. And this is just me being transparent and honest. I'm an educator.
Right.
I don't make shit.
Right.
You don't see me making no decisions like that.
So you
have to find other ways to supplement whatever it is you're doing. Other ways. Or you have to set yourself up for success. It's no excuse anymore for us. And I understand that there are inequalities. I don't want anybody to feel like I'm being insensitive. I'm just saying the climate that we live in right now, we know we're guilty before we're innocent. So
absolutely.
We can't put ourselves in situations where people are screaming, free my nigga, and my nigga is guilty, and you want me to pretend like this nigga's innocent. I can't do that. Right is right and wrong is wrong.
Right. Respect.
Yeah. I don't know, man. We gotta hold ourselves accountable for that, man. But I don't even know what that whole. I guess that whole free whoever joint came from Pimp C.
Free Pimp C, yeah.
Yeah, people just took it and run with it. They don't really know the meaning behind it. You know what I'm saying? They don't know the meaning behind that word snitch. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody just. Social media.
All these niggas snitches, they run straight to social media with the dumb stuff they do. They snitch on themselves. So there is no such thing as not being a snitch unless you all the way shut up.
Yeah, basically.
You can snitch on yourself.
Right.
And that's what
you can't sneak. You can't sneak it into no rap lyrics and call it a song. No, you're telling. You are telling.
Right.
They guess.
Right.
Yeah. So I feel you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that.
Speaking of snitch, man, this Charleston White situation, man. Y'all been following this shit, man.
Man, I've heard of this guy, but I'm not really,
He's a wild guy, man. He's like a real life Uncle Ruckus, man. Like, he calls himself an activist, but at the same time, he talk about he went to prison for killing a white man. But he's really not the one that killed the white man. You know what I'm saying? His man did. He passed his man a gun. According to his paperwork that's just been recently released today, he passed his man a gun and his man smoked him. And he smoked his man, snitched on his man and gave him 100 years. And, he talking about fuck Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah, that's
he
what.
Spit on his grave.
That's what I heard, how I heard him.
And all of this and all the Bloods and the gang members. Like, what do you think about people like that just feel like they have to have a voice on social media to say shit like that, and they pretty much walking around like with a death wish, you know what I'm saying? Just all for likes.
I mean, personally, I feel like you should never compromise your integrity just to get your message across.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Now, I understand, you're trying, like, from my understanding, he said he went about it that way to spread his message.
What
But why?
message? He got a contradictory message.
Yeah, right. So you're creating confusion. Yeah. So I mean, I heard he was an activist, you know what I'm saying, and actively participate. I don't know, I just heard this third party, but I still when I heard about
that word.
Activist, because you can just put it on anything, right?
I hate that word.
You can just say anybody. I'm an activist for whatever. Like,
tell me why you hate the word.
So my problem with the word activist is, what are you basing it on? Where is your premise? Where's your history? Where are your statistics? What did you study in order for you to be an activist? What is it that has pushed you to a point where you are doing things that are so extreme that you need attention? No, I feel like you're an activist for attention. Because real activists get locked up behind their cause.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't.
Or
I'm not running to social media with a picture of me hugging a tree. You gonna catch me getting bailed out from hugging that tree.
Or most activists are not monetizing off of their movements. So I feel you.
Man, that nigga be all over the place, man.
I heard he was reckless. I heard he was reckless.
Said he ain't trying to save niggas. Then he's saying fuck niggas, but then he's saying, I do this for the kids, and you know what I'm saying, because I can reach them quicker than I can reach an adult. I'm like, so what is you doing, bro? All you doing is, like you said,
but that's what he's doing is through all of this.
Making money.
And hold y'all attention.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Y'all are having conversations. He's getting views. All of those things turn into. People get addicted to attention they get from social media.
I feel like these
That's
types of
addiction.
we talking about it, you know what I'm saying, because this guy is, like you said, all over the place, right? He's visible, right? And we need to have conversations about people like that, because we don't need people like that spreading, you know what I'm saying, like, false narratives to our kids, you know what I'm saying, to our young people, to our naive people, you know what I'm saying? Like, that type of shit need to be shut down.
We put our kids to school every day to get false narratives taught to them. So what are we talking about?
And we shouldn't do that either, you know what I'm saying? I think that, like when COVID happened, that was like one of the best things that, you know what I'm saying, could happen, like for you to homeschool your kids. They gave you opportunity to homeschool your kids.
Educator, I agree to disagree.
Yeah.
I mean, because, not every...
Most of our parents don't have higher than the 6th grade education level right now. We ruin those kids. They are behind by 5 years.
Yeah. Cause in the social aspect of having,
Yeah, I mean, that does something to you when you're not really socializing to people. But do they socialize with each other anyway? Like, all they do is play video games.
Yeah.
We used to socialize with each other.
In school they do. But it's another side to it that y'all aren't thinking about. There are a lot of abusive homes. There are a lot of homes where kids don't get meals. There are a lot of
that they
places
need
where
to
their
escape.
adults are not present or educated. And school is their safe haven. So we took that away from them for a year.
Yes.
So a lot of them came back traumatized and damaged in ways that can't be explained and that they're not talking about.
What did you say, Phil? Come on, join the conversation.
Let's talk about it.
Right.
But so, as an educator, when these kids were being homeschooled, how was the attendance rate when that was happening? Like, with those people that you said that, things is happening at home, were the kids in attendance, or did the attendance drop? How did that go? I don't have any children, so I can't.
PG County changed the rules. Mm-hmm. As long as the student logged into one class that day, we had to change the attendance to make them present for the entire school day.
Wow.
Whether they showed up to your class or not.
So were they just passing kids?
Took place with the educational system to make it look like it went a lot better than it did.
Money grab. See, I heard a lot of kids their grades slipped because of that. Because you got a lot of children learn differently. Some are visual, some are audio, some are hands-on. And
some need all of that.
Right.
So just think about it. I work with special needs kids for my students with autism and learning disabilities. You understand how that lack of social interaction and that lack of one-on-one, in-person attention, the damage it did to them?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
Man.
different when you put in place precautions in order to help these kids grow. But you have to remember, Bill Gates said a few years ago, we don't need a nation of thinkers. We need a nation of workers.
Right. That's what the super elites want.
It's been like that since the beginning of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, since the beginning of this country.
Even with the food.
Right.
Ride down the highway and tell me if you see a crab apple tree or a pear tree. You're never going to see it. It's all male trees because they use it to control the food. But you cannot go outside and pick your own and sustain without them.
Absolutely. Great point. I'm glad you brought that up. Absolutely.
Kels, would you say that PG County go away with the free lunch program? That's the question that Kels got.
That's a lie. PG County School still has the free and reduced lunch program. What they did away with was those meals that they were sending home, and we were feeding entire families breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
What meals were they sending home? Hold up, explain that to everybody. They were sending meals home.
So what it was you had to, during COVID, yes. You had to go pick up. There were certain days, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Because
you could go pick up meals.
And this is because so many underprivileged kids need those meals during the day when they're going to school. This is what they're depending on to eat, right?
Sometimes that's the only meal they get.
Okay. So, cool.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
So what ended up happening was the world is back open. Your parents should be able to go back to work.
Right.
And the budget is no longer there. The COVID budget was an emergency budget that was allotted as long as they could push their narrative of getting all of these kids and adults and elderly
vaccinated
and certain age ranges vaccinated.
Yes. Lord have mercy.
And that money went away because of people like me who didn't do it.
Right. So you say you didn't get vaccinated?
No.
Do you think that vaccination, making everybody get vaccinated? Well, obviously you still employed there if you didn't get vaccinated. I guess they had certain stipulations in effect, but isn't that like a violation of your HIPAA rights? Like for them to know, whether or not you're vaccinated, they should know.
It's bigger than that.
It's a violation of your.
So.
It's
a violation of your human rights. That's a human right.
Right.
Yeah. This is.
That's one part, and then the other part is, if they were to fire all of the educators that chose not to get vaccinated, that would be. It's not just teachers. There are admin, principals.
Right.
PG County already has a hell of a shortage for educators right now.
Right.
If they were to do that, your kids would definitely be at home getting homeschooled by you.
And parents don't want that.
No, most of our parents were trying to drop the kids off for before and after care during COVID. How is it before or after care if there's no in-between care? I don't understand. So you're going to drop them off at 6 o'clock in the morning and pick them up at 9?
They damn sure was trying to do that.
So you're going to leave them there all day.
I knew a couple teachers.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Free daycare.
But what I noticed during the whole vaccine fiasco, a lot of people who were pushing back were law enforcement and firefighters and people in that field. Kind of protesting against. I know I seen in the news that New York firefighters and police departments stood up and said they were going to quit if they enforced the mandate.
As they should.
Yeah,
but they still did it.
Some of them didn't. I agree. I feel like that what's crazy to me. I thought about the same people that say their body, their choice when it comes to abortion. Don't have that same energy when they was talking about the vaccines, but who am I?
This is my thing. How can you force me to put something in my body that you have not done effective research on?
Right.
The last time a country trusted down with the vaccine was over in India, where they ended up making all those little girls sterile with those trials of those HPV vaccines.
Right.
This is a trial. Period.
Right. I feel like
that's why they're coming out with all of these shingles commercials and all of these things we haven't seen in years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they said something about polio was in New York about a week ago.
Polio is back.
Yeah, and that was supposed to be
But this is the
eradicated.
thing. Y'all aren't telling these people, like, what about the sterilization rate on the other side for people who have gotten vaccinated? What about women who are pregnant who were forced to get vaccinated? How's it going to affect their child?
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff that y'all aren't telling people.
Long
It's a lot-
term.
And these trials that y'all did in the black community, you were offering $1 million for people to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
And people were coming from white communities into the black communities to get vaccinated because it was pushed a lot heavier on us.
Of course.
I eat Tuskegee, but I don't even want to do it.
Of course.
I mean, you got to do it because, you know, if you got to know your history so you don't repeat it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've always been the crash dummies. You know what I'm saying? The test tube babies. Like, you want to test this on us first.
But it's not that we're crash dummies. We have the strongest DNA, genetics, and code on this planet, and they
Of
can't
course.
figure out how to steal what it is that's our magic.
Well, do you think that these
So we got to keep
vaccines
testing on the
are?
magic.
You think these vaccinations are trying to break down our
I mean,
DNA codes?
From there, it's affecting your
Yes.
RM, like your
Yeah.
mRNA that are transmitters, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
so, you know, my thing with the vaccines, to be vaccinated and still be able to catch, contract, and
What's the point?
and spread. What is the point? How is it effective? And then you're going to tell me to get a booster after a booster after a booster. At
And
the
you're not going to keep screaming underlying health issues.
right.
50% of people who are fully vaccinated are dead.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
50% of people who are not are too.
You know,
So,
I feel like they've been
you're
playing
gonna
with the
tell me I
numbers.
gotta keep getting shots.
yeah, numbers
crazy.
lie.
Yeah, I feel like they've been playing with the numbers, and you know, it's hard to say like if people really died from this or if they didn't. You know what I'm saying? If there was some underlying issues or if that affected the underlying issues. I know that, you know, I've gotten COVID, quote unquote, twice. I'm unvaccinated. The first time it felt like the flu. The second time it was like the common cold. I guess that's just because I built up the antibodies and my
Which
body
is-
naturally fought it
What
off.
it's better for you to catch something, let it takes it,
Right,
let it take its course,
right.
and then the next time, because I caught COVID as well twice,
Right,
and
right.
my symptoms was similar to yours.
But you're
the first
vaccinated
time.
though, right?
What? Hell no.
Okay. Did they give y'all an option to
Like,
get
Man,
everybody
listen.
around me is fully
Yeah.
vaccinated.
While I was there,
And
if
they all went down hard when they got
yeah.
COVID.
If I had the choice
I was
between
good after 3 days.
if I had the choice to, I told you I did almost 57 days consecutive in quarantine while I was locked up because I don't care. You wasn't in prison. You think you're gonna give me a
Did
vaccine?
anybody
and
die
that?
from COVID in prison? when you
No,
was in prison?
and that's why I knew that it was. Look, when we got sick in our
Yeah.
units,
Yeah.
they locked us behind walls,
Yeah.
and that was that. They gave you no medicine.
So how
they
many
gave you-
people did, I'm sorry to cut you off. How many people do you think got COVID in prison? And
Oh, it was spread like they were juking the numbers.
so this is like,
Yeah.
Something
it was
crazy.
bad.
And what was crazy, it was the correctional. When you're in prison, the only way it can get in is through the COs.
The COs. Or whoever, the nurses or whatever.
Yeah, right,
From the
so-
outside. But that's not true. You have people that have been transported from other jails.
But that's why they should have cut down.
And people that come from outside medical.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
That's what I thought to say.
But you have such a controlled move environment where they could have done better with the spread, and I think the way that they went, of course, like in 2020, it was new to the world,
but what is the spread though? I'm like,
just like the common cold.
no, exactly. That's what
Yeah.
I'm getting at. So like, it's like, is this just something that they just hyping up that's really just a variant of the common cold? Because if that's the case, if you got a bunch of
It's
motherfuckers,
biological warfare.
Absolutely, it's
it is definitely
fear.
biological warfare.
It's fear
but
mongering.
I'm just saying, like, it's fear, and we know it's fear mongering, but it's like, okay, of course a bunch of people's gonna get the cold, a common cold. Man, this shit is just all crazy. Bro.
They made your boy Donald J look like a prophet. And one thing about it.
But the thing about it was he wasn't no prophet.
No, of course
that
not.
was already in writing before he went in office. He just ran out to tell it because it was supposed to be a big secret from us.
Yeah, I was being facetious when I said that. I was just saying the way that they tried to make it seem like he was so insensitive when he was talking about this COVID thing. I basically it wasn't making sense. I was in North Carolina at the time, incarcerated when it first happened, and I was listening to NPR radio every day, so I knew when it first jumped off in Wuhan.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, Corona, it's a virus. There's 7 different coronaviruses. SARS and MARS is a form of coronavirus. So when they were putting up this, when they was putting up the statistics, and I was like, yo, less than 1% of people are dying. I don't see, the narrative doesn't make sense to me. And that's not being insensitive to nobody who lost their life due to COVID.
Population control makes sense to them.
And the thing about it is that you're not being insensitive, but when people are dying, number one, and this is just being drilled into your head over and over and over, fear mongering on the TV every day, all day. It's almost like growing up in the church and you getting knowledge of self as you get older, and you trying to have a conversation with your church mother about differences that you see in the Bible. It's not gonna happen. That's a touchy subject, and people gonna get mad, and they probably not gonna want to talk to you ever again.
Right. Which
but
goes
we need
against,
to have these type of conversations because we could all just be led to the damn cliff to jump off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just because of tradition.
So can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Where were all these conversations when all of these deaths from the flu were taking place for all of these years?
Right. The flu, where 100,000 people died every year from the flu.
Yes, but they don't talk about that on the news.
Absolutely, or
and you
other
don't see them
things.
trying to make that vaccination mandatory.
Right.
Everything went up.
And they don't call it a vaccination; they call it a shot.
Right, because this is not a vaccine. It's monoclonal antibodies that they're injecting into you, and you as a doctor, they'll tell you, I don't know. When we were incarcerated, I said, well, what are you using? Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, or
it don't even matter which one.
They said, I don't know. I said, you don't know.
They didn't.
It don't matter.
My doctor couldn't even tell me why I should take the vaccine. She was just like, oh, just do it for your grandmother. Oh, she couldn't tell me what was in it. She's
exactly
adamant about me taking the vaccine. I'm going in there for other shit, and she's talking about the COVID vaccine. Damn.
And when I was incarcerated,
big pharma is behind all of it.
Of course, and people don't remember, before this in 2019, Johnson & Johnson was in a lot of trouble with their baby powder and the opioids.
They was like motherfucking GM of pharmaceuticals.
They was about to go bankrupt. This vaccine saved their life. And then the vaccine's causing blood clots for Johnson & Johnson.
They still in trouble right now with their talcum powder. With
from baby's powder. Yeah, they had class action suits against them. So.
And we've been using that on our babies for years, mainly probably because of the name of the product.
But they changed their name to Janssen & Janssen or Janssen.
Only in America.
Janssen & Janssen.
Yeah.
We fooled you niggas. You know what? Johnson & Johnson. Bruh. That shit. You can't make this shit up, man. It just seems like this day and age, man, they just fuck it. I mean, we just gonna, just keep it 100 with you. We bullshitting. What you gonna do? They
did the age-old trick. They used Hollywood to desensitize us to all of these things, so that when we go through it, it's like deja vu.
Right.
Movies, go back to Mad Max, all of those things. Failed vaccination attempt, people living underground. If you go back to that, you will see what it really is. but they use TV, Hollywood, the same stat that they use to do spells. Same type of what they use to make the stat to do spells. They use Hollywood to dumb us down and desensitize us to it so we don't fear it.
I'm wondering who's the puppet master, you know what I'm saying, that's pulling the strings and that type of shit. Because you gotta be an evil motherfucker to learn how to use this technology and use it against people with CGI and movies and, false prophets and, religious books that say that this, that, and the third is gonna happen, and then actually get a bunch of people to believe it and subscribe to it, and you know what I'm saying? Like, go about your.
Do you know why Titanic happened?
Why? Explain it to us.
The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and it's one more family. They were trying to put together the World Bank. And there was 3 independent families that had independent wealth that would not go along with it. The heads of those families, I think most of the entire families were on the Titanic.
Oh, man. Interesting.
Y'all gotta start studying the history of the stuff that we're watching on TV.
All
they tried to make a love story. No, it was not a love story.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff be a drill, and then like after it happened, they be like, "Oh, we salute our heroes that helped in this situation." Hey, one of the 48 laws of power is create the problem and be the solution.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta play
but that's what America's done for years.
Yeah.
We drop bombs on countries and drop food on them and come in line like we're their financial savior.
Yeah, so we can get their
rape, rob, and pillage.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, but
it's the American way.
You can't do that. Only we can do that.
Right. Gangster.
Yeah. Straight gangster.
Yeah.
We gonna lock you up for doing it, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah, this shit is wild, bro.
It's disheartening that a lot of people lack knowledge outside of what they were taught in school and what's on the news, and they never broaden their horizons so that they believe everything these people tell you. I don't even watch the news.
But as an educator, I gotta get on you, you know what I'm saying? Because, educators are given also a script to teach propaganda too in one case. And that's what I'm saying as far as like when you get older and you gain knowledge of self, if you ever gain knowledge of self, because it's like, okay, this is the agenda, this is what we're teaching, you know what I'm saying? But it's like you just said, you gotta broaden your horizons and you gotta read more stuff. But that's not the stuff that we're being taught in our schools. So
I teach my students that's why I stay in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, and
I'm teaching them those false narratives.
Right, I don't think we put it on the educators. My stance on that is America is grossly underfunding the educational system. Like we said in the last episode, it's no reason where you have a person who goes to school, gets their bachelor's, master's degree, even in some cases doctorates, and they come in making less than a police officer. That's not a balance in society.
We make money at the poverty level.
Yes, that's not a balance. So and then the resources.
You want us to shape the minds of future engineers, doctors, lawyers, politicians, rocket scientists.
Exactly.
That doesn't make sense.
So it's a trickle down effect.
It sounds like some brainwashing going on, kind of like the military, where it's like it make you not.
It's systematic.
It make you not give a fuck about.
No, it's systematic. So when it's from both spectrums, from the teacher's point of view and the child's point of view, because that's just like I'm gonna use I statements.
Who?
So when I was growing up and I seen teachers and I'd be like, you're struggling just like I am. I'm in poverty just like you. I don't want to be a teacher. I want to
beyond struggling, and we have to buy supplies for students, help them get shoes so they won't get bullied, help them get clothes and socks. Some of them need haircuts. Some of them can't get their medication. And then I hear people telling me that teachers, we need to start wearing uniforms because you feel like we're dressed inappropriately. But who's going to pay for these fucking uniforms?
Right.
Uniforms. That's another thing right there, man.
That's crazy.
Uniforms, like that's a psychological thing.
It's a prison term. It's prison.
Yeah. So what do you think?
Like I taught my students,
Go ahead.
it is okay to challenge an adult respectfully as long as you have your facts and all of the things that you need and you speak to them in a manner that is not conducive to you or your message being displayed in the wrong light.
I agree.
I welcome my kids to challenge me. I taught my son to challenge teachers. My mother taught me to challenge teachers.
Absolutely, because that's all we got is our voice is our biggest instrument, and we shouldn't be taught. Teachers shouldn't be teaching indoctrination. They should be teaching how to critically think and process, problem solve. One thing I learned when I was in a system, a lot of the young guys don't know how to read cursive anymore. So they're not teaching
Well, they
cursive.
don't teach cursive. They cut cursive out when my son was 5. He's 22.
That's insane.
They don't know how to read regular English. You talking
Yeah,
about
they don't know about.
No, they don't.
Right. Now you got acronyms that they call abbreviations. How you abbreviate a sentence? Words are abbreviated. You know what I'm saying?
Remember when they tried to say that we used Ebonics?
Yeah, I mean, but that I was offended because I was in class.
I was definitely offended.
I said, yo,
Ebonics? Come on,
I mean,
bro.
the King's English, Oxford English,
Well,
and the English over here is watered
Kids don't
down.
have to be able to read or spell anymore. Google does all the work for them.
Yeah, but sometimes, but that's
All you have to
Google.
do is almost spell it.
All the time, but you're an educator, and that's just like when we were coming up, you had to give references. You have to research the research. You have to cross-reference things, and
Right.
you can't just go to Google.
That's what we had to do.
Yeah,
we
you had to-
and we had to list our references where
Exactly.
we got it from. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Do they even do that anymore?
Well, now it's a little different.
They gonna be
Yeah,
like,
you have to list
oh,
the
I got this from Wikipedia.
But this is the problem. They can cut and paste directly from a reference and change 6 words in it, and it's not considered plagiarism.
What?
Before we had to write the stuff all the way out, and you were going to find the simplest way to write it out unless you had a word minimum in your report.
Wow. That's
I can tell when my students didn't write something. I know them very well.
Right. Like Jamal.
And then I asked you to read your report in front of the class for me, and you didn't sign that.
yeah. You say Lil Jamal.
Yeah. Jamal. He's like, well, the hypothesis of the
Always remember what fish to fish. Red fish, blue fish. Knick-knack, paddle. Yeah, dog upon.
It's a C-O-N-spiracy.
Hey, I heard. Now, is this true? I heard that they were teaching how to spell based off of sounds now. So they accept if you spell cat, C-A-T, as well as K-A-T.
Oh, shit. He's doomed.
Well, it's okay. So what's going on right now in the school system is very different. Just so people know, we just had a sensitivity training. I am no longer allowed to call your child by whatever name you give them. I have to ask them what they prefer being called, and I have to ask them their pronouns.
Oh,
He, she, them, we, they. I'm not allowed to say I'm going to call your mother or father. I have to say I'm going to call your parents.
Not they.
It's real tricky right now. I can't call them a girl or a boy. Like,
Interesting. So what grade do you teach? If you don't mind me
you said
asking.
what?
I said, what grade level do you teach?
6, 7, and 8.
So this is my thing. How do kids at this young age even know if some of these kids might have not even had sexual experiences yet? So how can they know?
Yes, they do.
But we can't say that's the case for all of the kids. You know what I'm saying? Like,
So this is what I can say to you. If they're not physical with their sexuality, I will tell you that there are things that take places in schools and they video it. They have their own shade sites for each elementary, middle, and high school. And they put the video up there. I've seen the video of a girl getting a train run on her.
What?
In middle school.
Huh? Well, I'm not naive to the fact because I've been through middle school as well, but at the same time, my thing was like, and I thought you were gonna say, like in elementary school, I have a daughter, and she told me that she had a friend that was transgender since second grade.
Yes.
And I said, how does she know?
How does her parents
Because her parents allow it. Let me tell you something. We are not allowed, like I said, to call them a he or a she. We have to ask them what their preferred pronoun is.
So how is that even correct English?
So I'm Tony, and my pronoun is he. I would say Tony, he, him.
How is that correct English?
And if I don't call him that, I'm discriminating.
Wow. How do you feel about it?
So what people don't understand is we go through, as educators, we go through a lot on the other side trying to make sure the politics are good, the students' mental is good, our mental is good, home relationships are good. Like, we're counselors, we're educators, we wear a lot of hats.
And
I don't agree with that.
I definitely agree with that.
No, I don't agree with that. He, she, they, her, him stuff.
I'm not going.
I feel like
I'm not going to touch
you don't
that.
have to,
I'm
but
not
when
going.
you go into department stores, you're going to see
but
they will no longer have a girl or boy section. It's going to be a kids section.
I feel like we treading in dangerous waters because Rachel Dolezal already tried to do that, racial thing.
That's what's coming next. That's the next thing that's going to come.
So it's so what is mental illness going to be like? Because people are delusional and we supporting their delusions and idolizations. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I mean,
I can't ask you about that, but I can ask you about your sexuality. I can't ask you about your mental illness.
Right.
I can't.
My sexuality and my sexual preference shouldn't even be the topic of discussion. To each
it is a topic of discussion because of the way we refer to you and the way we speak of you, and if it offends you or you feel like you're discriminated against,
but
it's a problem.
You can address people by the sexuality or whatever, but it's still a form of mental illness to me because what if somebody says I identify as a cat? Like, we're gonna be discriminative if we be like, hey, boy, sit down. Like, hey, no, call me cat. Hey, cat, sit down. Like, I mean, come on, man. Like,
I have a student who identifies as them because he likes both. He wants to be both. So I can't call him a girl or a boy. I have to call him they or them.